Hello! In this lesson, we will just finish packing the theme and prepare it finally for being submitted to WordPress.org. Let's see some small details that are missing to finish everything. I'm back here to our original project, which we've been working on since the beginning of the course, okay? The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change that function that prevents the CSS file from being cached. Let's go over to our functions.php. Do you still remember this piece of code here? We can't leave this code in the theme because it's not good for the end user. This was just, say, a workaround. So instead of this, we'll be passing the current version number of the theme, which is 1.0. Every time you release a new version of the theme, which also includes new CSS changes, corrections, etc., you only need to change the version number here and also on our CSS file here too. Okay, another thing we have to do is update the POT file, since we've included some new strings since the last time we generated it. One thing I didn't show you is that you can exclude some folders or files from the translation if you wish. For example, let's say I don't want to translate anything relative to the TGM library. I just open up the POT file in PoEdit. Go over here to Catalog, Properties, Sources Paths, and here I can include new paths or exclude them too. The process is similar. For example, let's exclude the file from the TGM class, which has a lot of strings that I don't want to go along with the translation file. Click the plus sign. I can add folders or files for exclusion. I'll find the file. Okay. And now I can update the file by clicking here. Click on Save. And then go to File, Save. Okay, now I already have the file updated. Another thing I need to do is run the theme check and the theme sniffer plugins again. We've added new things since the last time we tested, and I cannot submit the theme with serious problems to fix. As I can see, there's nothing new here. We got the same problems we had before. Let's test the theme check plugin again. Well, everything seems okay, but you have to remember one thing. One of the things I need to create too before sending the theme to WordPress.org is a readme.txt file. If you run the theme check, you'll notice that it appears as a recommended item, but actually it's required, okay? At least in this version of the theme check, it is listed as recommended only. If you run the theme sniffer plugin, you'll see that it's required and appears as an error item. If you have no idea how to get started, I'll leave the link to this article here. Here the review team shows you a sample readme.txt file and teaches you more or less what it should have. More or less indeed, because the last time I read this post, I realized this template they offer was no longer 100% valid. But it's not difficult to create this file. Let me show you my own file so that you can have an idea. Mine is ready, and you can check how I did and get an idea of what's needed. There is a readme.txt file validator too, so I'll leave the link for you as well. Another thing the review team will require is that your theme has minimal documentation. If your theme will be available for the general public, the user should know how to handle it. You can make this documentation available in several ways. For example, into your theme package as an HTML page, or on your project website as a simple web page, or as a PDF document, or you can use tools with a more professional look. Today, there are several free online documentation services. You must only take a quick search for online documentation tools, and you'll discover several of them. For this theme, I created the documentation using Gitbook. On this next page, I have all the documentation I created on my own for my theme. Gitbook is very easy to use and makes the documentation look very professional, as you can see here. I really enjoyed working with this tool, but you can choose another one if you want. For example, you can also create video tutorials. The important thing really is that you don't leave the user in the lurch. Another important thing to include in your theme folder is a file with the theme license text. Your license should be at least GPL version 2, so it's quite easy to find this text. All the themes you download from the WordPress website have this file. Just make a copy, include it in your theme, and you're done. Two things that may be bugging you, especially if you didn't understand the main focus of this course until now. That one, I didn't get to test WooCommerce on the theme. My explanation. As I told you from the beginning, the course is not about teaching how to work with WooCommerce, but how to create themes that work with WooCommerce. So everything was done so that the users won't find any surprises generated by the theme itself while configuring their store. The WooCommerce settings we used in this course were the most basic possible only to test the theme itself. The goal was not to create a web store with several plugins for the store, several payments and shipping methods. The goal was to only create a theme for the store. And as we've been seeing, that was already very complex. If you want to learn how to use WooCommerce, there are a lot of courses out there. This course here is not about using WooCommerce as the end user. But if you want to test the theme with WooCommerce installed, you can go ahead and do that. You see that it works very well as long as you configure WooCommerce correctly. And two, so this theme doesn't have a contact form? No, it doesn't. The goal here was to use as few plugins as possible. I already explained why. It's up to the users if they want to install and configure any plugins they want to use along with the theme. That also includes the hundreds of plugins available for WooCommerce. I made a point of not mentioning any of them in this course, because that was never my intention. Well guys, that was it. I feel like I'm ready for a new journey now. Now it's finally time to submit all the theme files over to WordPress.org. In the next lesson of this course, we'll finally start our journey, so see you there.